I was able to until today, and when I checked, yeah, and when I checked my Wi-Fi, that's what I'm supposed to be on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should, if it's an email, you wouldn't remember on the Wi-Fi.
I was able to.
It's on your, can you open any other PDFs?
Yeah, and when I checked, I was able to until this one.
And what'd you do to it?
I broke it.
You sat on it?
See, and I'm able to open this one from her. No, Emery, no, she's not able to open this one. I can open up every single one but this one. I was able to until this one. There it comes.
You mean? You can't see it sticking my tongue out at you.
Right back at you.
Let's try to get along, kids. Good morning, Don. Or not.
I just usually check, make sure what quality is over the YouTube. Sometimes it's not always the greatest. I'm just monitoring. And it doesn't gel later.
You got that. Two?
Yeah, down there.
It's always nice to have a build up. You can bring up the beat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we got the minutes.
They weren't.
I couldn't find them anywhere.
Let me go up and send them quick. So you guys have.
I just noticed it too.
I hope I have them. Okay, I did them.
I couldn't find them.
Oh, boy.
That's all right.
I'll do that.
All right.
She's gonna run up and send us all the minutes because we didn't receive them via email.
I noticed that too. I even went back and thought maybe there was a set with a separate email and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Well, as much stuff as she sends to us now, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Morning, Stacy.
Hello. I have Carrie with me, but we're socially distancing, so we'll swap spots when we talk.
Okay,
You can leave him out if you'd like. All right, it's 9 o'clock. I think we'll start off with the pledge of allegiance this morning.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everybody.
good morning.
Morning.
Is there any agenda items that anybody would like to talk about adding?
Hearing none, I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Hang on a second.
Better wait to,
Yep, got it.
oh, you got it noted? Okay,
Okay, we have a motion by Neil and a second by Steph for the approval of the agenda for this morning. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
aye,
And opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you all have the minutes from the 7th?
Yep.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to review these?
I thought I reviewed them, but I don't see them on the information with our agenda.
No,
that's because they just came.
he just sent them to you, Neil.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
If you would like to approve them, we can. If you want to just add them back in for next week, we can do that also.
I did a quick scan of them. They seem to be all in order.
Yeah, they look okay to me. I'll go ahead and second that, Gene.
Okay, I'll make that a motion then.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries.
Before we get started, since we're gonna be starting the nonprofit, wanted you all to know, we have hard copies of the proposals from them upstairs. Cause I know sometimes stuff doesn't scan real good and you can't really read it, but there are hard copies upstairs if you want a copy.
Good, thank you for that. I would have liked to have had a hard copy, so yeah. That's a good thing.
That brings up a point where I don't know if we'll have hard copies from everybody or not because.
Well, they all
it'll be
provide
writing.
them, but obviously when you're scanning and emailing, stuff doesn't always.
As long as they're on file, I guess I'm okay with that.
There's a big pile upstairs.
Okay.
Courtney, when you say that you have a copy upstairs, you mean just one for your office?
No, each of you have your own copy.
Oh, they have one for everybody. Okay,
There's hard copies for each member of the board upstairs.
good. Then I'll pick them up sometime.
Okay.
So, Courtney, I have another question for you. The miscellaneous budget request form that I have right here.
Yeah,
Do you have it where it's filled in the FY21 budgeted, what we
Yeah.
actually budgeted?
yeah, I have it upstairs. I can send it to you after today's meeting. I updated that last week and I meant to send that along with minutes and some stuff. So
Okay,
I can send it.
great.
Yep.
Thank you.
And those amounts are all in the January 29th minutes as well.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. I guess the first thing up this morning is the Rsvp. Are we waiting on anybody here?
Nope, she's here.
Oh, there.
I'm here. Hello. Hello. Thank you for having us and listening. I'll go first and then we'll trade spots and Terry can talk about foster grandparents. We're trying to social distance and be able to talk with our mask on since it's kind of hard over Zoom sometimes. We are only asking for level funding. We're not asking for any increases. Level funding is $9,000 for Rsvp and $1,000 for the foster grandparent program. Federal funding, we bring in, Rsvp gets $122,500 in federal. And we cover at least 82,500 of that is spent in Carroll County. There is not any places, so most of that spending we are doing in Carroll County to purchase those things. We get state funding also $1,405, both Rsvp. The foster grandparent program gets $65,543 in federal funding. When we are locally, those dollars, as you all most your federal grants are, you know, that's where it shows buy-in from our communities that they value the programs that we are putting forward in our counties. This year has been a different year for us because of COVID. We do several programs that are in the schools, so we've had to change and adapt. Some of the nursing homes that we do things in, we've had to change what we do there because you're no longer allowed to go in. So we've re-engaged volunteers in a different way. When the pandemic first hit, we had a couple agencies come to us. New Hope Village was one. They were looking for PPE, anybody that could make masks and surgical gowns for their staff. And we had volunteers right away that started making those things, and we started distributing them to nursing homes and to New Hope Village. We still are continuing our pen pal program. Luckily, that's one of the projects that people do from home. We do the letter exchange packets with the schools, and we can still continue to do those things. We've been able to do our days of service, our 9/11 project, where we had volunteers fill out cards and we put together thank you baskets that went to the sheriff's department, the police department, fire, and ambulance. We had almost 300 cards filled out by volunteers that participated in that. For our nursing homes that we can't go into, we have volunteers we've been doing card campaigns. Monthly, we've been sending residents cards, just, hey, thinking of you, and just general uplifting things. We have some very talented volunteers that have colored some beautiful pictures that they can change out and hang on the residents' doors that have gone with the seasons. We'll be doing our Blizzard Pack project. We partnered with Hy-Vee. We have enough things ordered. They go to people that get home delivered meals. We are going to be packaging 80 bags going out to people that get home delivered meals here within the next week or so. Each bag will contain 2 lunch items, a breakfast item, a fruit, a vegetable, a snack bar. We do give them a treat. There's a Rice Krispie bar in there. And then like a Jell-O and a pudding fruit cups. We're still trying to plan on doing Speak Up in some way. We're hoping that maybe we can figure out doing it via Zoom but with technology, we're still working on those. We're hoping to maybe in the spring, we can work through those things. Does anybody have any questions for me? Or that's just a few of the things that we're still working on.
It's been quite a trying year, to say the least. I'm glad you've kept some of the programs going the best you can. It's not always ideal in these circumstances, but
it's not. And it's, you know, some of the volunteers were themselves wanting things to do. You know, we always think about the results of our program, but we forget about what this program actually does for the volunteers too. You know, that's a win-win on both sides. We're engaging citizens in our communities that have a lot of knowledge, have a lot of to give back. And when you keep people busy, people are happier, they're healthier, you keep people's minds working. So volunteers were looking for things. Hey, what can we do? What can we do from home? We did start a pen pal. We're going to be starting a pen pal program for adults for nursing home residents. We've had a couple nursing homes that have some residents that would love to write to another adult. And we put that out. I had 10 phone calls within a couple days of volunteers saying, hey, we'll do that. So we're just looking at ways we can engage them that still gives back to our community with what we have going on. And eventually when we get behind all gets behind us, we're hoping to get back into a lot of our regular activities too. Neil, you're on silent.
You guys have all been muted. We were getting some feedback, so you have to unmute.
I'm unmuted now. I think the volunteers are very anxious to get back to work. And I think once this pandemic is fairly well over, I think they'll be full steam ahead. And I think Stacy and Terry have done a great job in keeping this programs organized so that when the COVID pandemic is over, they will be able to hit the ground at full speed ahead.
Thank you, Neil.
Just as a side note, my records go back to fiscal year 14, and you and RS and foster grandparent have requested the same amount for ever since then, and maybe before. So I thought I'd throw that out.
I don't like to request additional funds if it's not necessary. We try to look for private grants, ways to fill in those gaps. We do quite a bit of our own fundraising. I always think about this money is all tax dollars, and that all has to come from somewhere. I am required to get that local match, and I'm more than thankful that the county can support us in the way that they can. Without these local matches, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of our programming. Some of the Pen Pal and Speak Up program alone, we provide all the materials for those schools, cost roughly $8,000 a year to buy the paper and the postage and the envelopes and everything that it takes to do that. When we bring programs to the schools, we don't want to be a burden on the school. They have tight enough budgets, just like everybody else. So we don't want to make it a burden for the school, and we don't want it to be a burden for our volunteers. We have volunteers that, you know, postage and things could add up for them, you know, and we want to make it so that they can all participate. If you don't have any other questions for me, I can hop off and let Terry slide over into my seat. Are you guys ready for her?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. Have a great day, and I will trade places with Terry.
Thank you, Stacy.
But thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so the foster grandparent program covers all of Carroll County and began locally in 1994. It's a rewarding program that benefits senior citizens and children, and the foster grandparent program fosters heart and hope while giving volunteers meaning, purpose, and somewhere to go. It can change a child's life when they are mentored, tutored, or given care by one of the volunteers. Excuse me, the foster grandparent program volunteers often say the best reward is working with the children, and the senior citizens often also say that the program gives them a reason to get up in the mornings and human interactions that they would not have otherwise. The foster grandparent program has an average volunteers have an average household income of about $15,000 per year. And normally they do spend that money locally. So without the foster grandparent program of Carroll County, the county would lose an average of over $50,000 per year. For over 25 years, Carroll County residents have benefited from the dedication of the foster grandparent program and its volunteers. The program keeps the senior citizens who volunteer active and involved, and the foster grandparent program gives also the senior citizens opportunities they may not have otherwise. And without that purpose, many of them could see deteriorating health and be dependent upon public services for day-to-day living. They are eager to make a difference for others while helping themselves at the same time. And during these challenging times, the foster grandparent program has been working on options to fit the obstacles in order to keep the volunteers from being idle at home. The program currently has 11 foster grandparents, with another one currently being recruited. And normally they are placed at the schools, including elementary and middle schools, daycares, Head Starts, and libraries of Carroll County. The program continues to research and implement innovative funding opportunities and has established many successful fundraisers in the past, including the current ongoing project through Rada Manufacturing Online, which commissions approximately 40% of each sale made. The foster grandparent program receives funding from the Carroll United Way, the City of Carroll, and Carroll County, which are the largest supporters, and others include Kiwanis, Masonic Lodge, Glidden Community Action, and Manning Community Chest. And I am asking us, I think, funding of $1,000.
All right, Terry, thank you. Thank you for your work this year. It's been a strange year at best, so continue on. And as you know, you and Stacy also know that there will be no decisions made today. We will look at when we get further into the budget process, then there will be notifications made on what we do.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
I will also add that we do have, as Terry said, 11 foster grandparents, and we are always looking for more. Unfortunately, they have to be income qualified, which means if they're over a certain income, they're not eligible. So a lot of people who want to help are turned away. And if anyone knows of anyone who may be interested and income qualified, please refer them to Terry.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you. I'm going to click off. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing up is Shannon. Are you ready? Or you want to wait another half hour or so?
No, I'm good. You guys maybe have seen that today we have our big holiday chamber bucks promotion going on. So
Oh, great.
definitely a little bit busy this morning, but
thanks for joining us.
yeah, happy to jump in here. So I always do the proposals for you guys and you get copies of those. But I think more importantly, I would like to kind of run down some of the things that we've accomplished throughout 2020 and some of the things that we're planning on doing in 21. I did invite my exec team to join. I shared the link so Don Meyer's on. I just like that team to also have the opportunity to be a part of this conversation. I think Mike Franny and Kim Tiefenteller are also joining. So if they have some additions at some point, I may bring them in. But, you know, obviously, as we all know, 20 was quite a challenge. We had laid out some pretty strong priorities for 2020 pre-pandemic, and we are pretty proud of the fact that aside from all of the work that we did with COVID, with business assistance that's still ongoing, we really did accomplish some of those things. So just wanted to quickly run through them. And you'll find a little more detail on several of those in your packet. But our priorities included our business retention and expansion visitation program. So not only this year did we do that program with Best of Iowa, there were several rounds of surveying, from very informal surveys and outreach to our business community to going through those full synchronous surveys. We don't have that data back yet. We're expected to have that soon after the first of the year. We'll see some reporting on that. So at that point, we'll be able to take a look at what happened in Carroll County and benchmark that with what happened in the state of Iowa and kind of take a look at things. I know you guys follow the unemployment rates, and we're back down at just barely over 2% again. So workforce has remained a conversation, and I think it's strong evidence that Carroll County and Iowans, people want to work. They want to have gainful employment. So along with that, we really wanted to focus on retail and small business entrepreneurship, startup programming, just the culture and environment for small business. And that continued maybe a little differently than we saw, but we certainly have tried to emphasize retail. We know that for the strength of our prime employers, our large employers, we need a community people want to live in. And certainly keep in mind, when I say community, I'm talking about the Carroll County community as a whole. We've seen so many good things happening in all of our communities in terms of people recruitment and quality of place investments. We do want to have a strong marketing communication plan. We'll circle back to that a little bit later. And then our shovel-ready site project is something that we will continue. And the final project was an employment initiative. Unfortunately, we had started that conversation in partnership with the school district, and in March, that really quickly came to a halt, and we have not been able to put that back in place. But, speaking to COVID specifically now, we did have to take a turn and pivot and really focus on COVID support, at the same time trying to pull in that project and priority plan from 2020. And now we're really looking at recovery. From the governor's task force on recovery, we're following that closely for longer term investments. We're watching what IEDA is considering putting out. But, Carroll County has really done a great job, and it's been a partnership of our lenders. It's been the Small Business Development Center, Region 12, all the partners that have an opportunity to assist the business community have jumped in and done a great job in 2020. So that being said, we've seen a lot that have struggled, and we certainly want to still be a strong partner there. And we've seen some that have really grown and had opportunity through COVID and want to take their business to the next level with those COVID tools. So a couple things that have come out have been, Raccoon Valley and CADC partnered to do the county funds to be able to do some grants and loans actually to our businesses. We've seen that in Coon Rapids. We've done a few loans there. And we've also, that 0% interest money that Region 12 has, we have really put a dent in that already. It's really had a lot of momentum. We're seeing some business startups and people kind of taking that next step. So a lot of good things happening that way. Also in 2020, one of our priorities, that Q1 timeframe, was really promoting local option sales tax and what it means, not just in Carroll, but what it means to the county as a whole, and trying to get information out and promote that program. Ultimately, from the promotion of the tax to collecting those dollars and really encouraging all the local shopping, even right now on the chamber side, all of those promotions to get people to shop here ultimately are making investments into the county and the other communities and creating that pot of support. So taking a look at 21 priority projects, we've talked a little bit about Retail Coach, and we just this week now have our first round of data coming back. But once we get past the first of the year, we'll start distributing that information to our small businesses, really starting to kind of work on what that could look like in our community. We're doing some short-term priority planning. We are really following legislatively at both the state and federal level, trying to keep a good eye on the way things are moving and changing. But, we too are having to take a really different look at recruitment and marketing. Through COVID, you've seen a whole lot of opportunity to take your job with you. That's been one of the more obvious things. But as we've really tried to stay informed from economists, site selectors, and decision makers, you've seen a lot of communities that there's same-day delivery now on products. So we've known that we're connected with online shopping and all these things, but now we're looking at same-day delivery from food products to Amazon's been doing it, even your Targets and some of those other businesses that are ensuring that, that creates another twist in that environment. So we want to make sure that we're really doing what we can, again, making sure there's a great awareness of what's available locally. With that, I want to talk just quickly about the shovel-ready site project. That's something that we've started and been working through. Ultimately, we narrowed 12 sites countywide down to 3. And of those 3, we're making some really good progress. On one of them, we're working through legal documentation on a property option. On another, we're working with the property owner on physical project work. And on the third, just trying to work at securing that land and coming up with some master planning. One of the ways that we find projects for that, aside from just local word of mouth for companies that want to grow, is working with our site selectors and doing some direct outreach. We work with the community venture network in Minneapolis. Those are small businesses that are pitching projects to the Midwest. They're willing to move, they're willing to make investments. So this year we did put in several proposals. Carroll County, our 3 sites we pitched were a finalist, a top 3. Unfortunately, the company made a move to a community about 45 minutes away. We're about 4 hours away, but we're very attractive in that project. So we're trying to do a really good job of reaching into markets where they're more of an urban center, where the business climate hasn't been as supportive of small business with their COVID policy and otherwise as what they see in Iowa. So we're really trying to sell some of those assets and features as well. I think ultimately the name of the game for is going to be a lot of aggressive recruitment, a lot of aggressive marketing to really try to take advantage of some of the changes in the market. One of the things that you'll see in working through our budget and our request, a very conservative for the last couple of years in terms of our staffing. CDC, you have myself as leadership of both CDC and Chamber, and our team works on behalf of both. But we want to bring someone in that can be a little more dedicated to that retail process. You know, a lot of the research on sites to make sure every site and building, as there's some transition, we get those into our databases and we get the marketing pieces developed for that. And then the second component of that really is having someone in the building dedicated to workforce. That it's key. That is really the name of the game for businesses right now is people. And so we want to make sure that we're staffed appropriately to make sure we're bringing opportunities to our community. And you just never know, you know, if we get things done and get our marketing plan developed right, there may be someone in Denver or Seattle or wherever that has decided that maybe taking a second look at rural and at home, if they have that connection, could be a good thing. But we need to make sure that we're staffed appropriately to handle that marketing plan. So that's one of the increases you'll see. The budget does look a lot different this year, as we've talked about in my past updates. The city has committed funding for 3 years for Retail Coach. We have signed a contract with Region 12 for that EDA recovery money. Instead of Region 12 hiring a staff person to work on recovery directly, we're going to use some of those funds to fund organizations like CDC and work in partnership for business recovery for the next 2 years. So in that way, the revenues look a little bit different, but we have a bright future ahead of us. You know, our partnership with SBDC is excellent. I'm not sure if she'll be updating you guys, but having her here in Carroll at the Chamber has really created a better awareness for small businesses about what tools are out there and how we can help out. Final 2 pieces I want to talk about is our Size Up software is now on the Western Iowa Advantage website. So we'll be doing a lot more with that in terms of market research for business. And, you know, that said, we still look to hopefully do Access Washington if there's an opportunity. If not, we certainly want to work on those relationships with our legislators and their staffers. I think, and Jean maybe can speak to this a little bit as well, but you know, we've kind of been questioned some years why we're going to DC when times are good. But I think through COVID, you know, we had direct contact information for staffers in all of the legislative offices and in some of the departments. And it was really helpful. We were able to bring our legislators to the Carroll County audience. We were able to make direct contacts when it came to CARES Act and all the different packages. We had a direct line of access for updates and things like that. And I think that really matters for our businesses. So I think that's going to be important too, continuing as we see offices transition, departments transition. We want to make sure that we have that direct communication. A perfect example is WinStar and what they've been working on with the CERT Act and trying to still see some action happen. We do our best on behalf of every one of those businesses each chance we get. So with that, I've said a lot. I know I've updated a couple times and don't want to take too much of your time this morning, but definitely want to open up to questions.
Yeah, Shannon, I would just like to add what you said. I think, the one thing that I think we found out through Access Washington is by putting a face with the county and with those people, we have created an association where we're able to communicate a whole lot better and have some that they know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Shannon, I think these times we have found out what we're really good at, and we have found out what we are bad at. And that's the attempt now is to cure those problems that we are not as good as we thought we were at. I know the Region 12 money. I've sat on that board. We have pumped a lot of money into the regional area. Some has went directly into Carroll County, some has not, but we are a regional cog. So we keep in mind all the time how we can help. We have to be mindful of what we do with the money, but we're giving people a shot that have a change, that have a great idea, that just need that little extra to get over the top.
Right.
Then the other thing I want to bring up is the Iowa workforce, as that has changed. I sat on that board and we reinvented ourselves, as we were required to by state law. And one of the things that I looked at was I wasn't going to get in a region that wasn't interested in helping develop workers, because that is a big key. We've been fighting for quite a while, is finding workers to fit our needs. So that, I think we're on the right track there. Give us a little time on that. We're still staggering around, but we've had our first full meeting, and I believe we're going to start improving from that point. So it's been a challenging time with not only the COVID, but with other arrangements that we've had. And we will work through this, and it just takes some time.
Right. Listening to the past presentations, I think there is such a need here, but I think it's evident that part of the strength of Carroll County as a place to do business is really the philanthropy and that feeling of caring and helping. And, even watching as some of the projects have come online that were underway. And so, it really, I don't always want to point back to marketing, Rich, but it's so much is just about telling our story and making sure that the businesses that have found success are also helping to share that messaging. So again, that goes back to why I think it's key to strengthen our marketing and communications here, both locally and with those larger audiences. But that takes another person. Every one of those projects, even though you don't need a huge degree maybe to do some of that work, it just all takes time and effort. So the exec team is really excited with some of the things we've been talking about in terms of business environment. And each of the businesses that grow and choose to locate here, it's bringing asset to Carroll County. So we're excited with some of these projects.
Shannon, I want to thank you for presenting. I also want to give a little shout out to one of your executive board members. He did a fantastic job. So Leadership Iowa, I know you're familiar with that program. Jim Gossick did a fantastic job presenting to our group. The Leadership Iowa obviously has connections to the whole state of Iowa, which is what you said, basically it's marketing, putting our story out there, because if you don't make connections with people, you don't stand a chance. And I think in 2022, we're going to see some challenging times just because of COVID. Obviously, you're fully aware. And I've seen some fantastic camaraderie and people working together, whether that's city, county, CABC, being in Sioux Center, I mean, that is an area I definitely would take a look at, because how they all work together, it's eye-opening. There's definitely ways that Carroll County can improve from on every level and working together. So if there's anything that you would recommend, if you want to reach out to me personally or anybody on the board, where we can not only fiscally, but maybe just spend some ideas together and things like that, please feel free to. I know you talk about the shovel-ready sites, and maybe this is my side of me that I just don't know. How many sites do we have? Did you say 3?
Currently, so that project specifically, we focused on 3. You
Okay.
know, I'm not sure if you were able to listen when we had Chris Lloyd present, but ultimately it's a timing thing anymore, you know, having all the due diligence done ahead. So if there is a project, we have a 40-acre site, we know exactly what infrastructure needs to be done. We have a pretty good baseline of what kind of incentive might be eligible. And truly, we don't have a ready industrial site of 25 plus acres countywide. We saw that as a problem because the time it would take to go from maybe cornfield to project was just too much. They don't wait for that anymore. You know, statewide, there's a huge pool of sites, but nationwide, it's crazy, from available buildings to parks, what have you. So, a couple projects that we were not able to work through brought us to that conclusion that we needed to identify 3 and really make sure we knew what kind of infrastructure we had there, what kind of challenges we had to overcome, make sure that we control that property, and then go to work with marketing it. I didn't really go into the marketing plan, but we are working with Fusebox to do some drone footage of those 3 sites and really start to market them in the communities and really, again, back to telling the story, have sites for larger projects that are ready. You know, I know that brings us back to the workforce component, but when you really look at automation and look at where some things are going, you know, some of those facilities are paying a higher wage. They are bringing a lot of benefit. They're making contributions to education partners. So for us to be in the game, we had to have some sites. So it brought us 3 sites of 40 plus acres that we can be marketing.
Thanks for answering that.
All right, any more questions for Shannon? All right, Shannon, thank you very much for your presentation today. You know the process. When we get further along in the budget, we'll let you know where we're at. Mike or Kim, would like to add anything here today?
I have nothing to add. I see that they're asking for $80,000, which is 5% increase. And I think she's explained pretty well what that increase will be used for.
Mike?
I'd just like to thank you for your time and what we do here in Carroll County. It's a private-public partnership to accomplish one goal, and we're trying to make it a better place to live. So, I mean, Shannon does a great job of being an ambassador of our county, and with your help, we can continue to do that.
Thanks, Mike. All right, hearing nothing else, thank you guys for making the presentation today, and Mike and Kim, thanks for staying on the board and doing your best you can.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
And Don, I see Don. I didn't see Don. We got fogged glasses fogged up. So. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Breeda Daycare.
Hi guys. My name's Haley Jorgensen. I am a board member for the Breeda Daycare Center. I just joined the board in June. They had some changes with the board. I think previously you guys have talked to Elise. She kind of helps me out, but they kind of brought me on the board to kind of dig into more of the financial side of it. So I'm a bank examiner for the state of Iowa. So I kind of know the financial side. So that's what I've been working on since I've joined the board. I kind of know more of the finances for this year versus any of the previous ones. I've tried to dig as much as I can to kind of fully understand the center. So obviously we have a licensed daycare center in Breda. Right now we have 27 kids, which is down, I think, a little bit from previous years. We did lose I think we lost 2 kids throughout the pandemic. They ended up moving, so it was kind of anticipated loss, but we are down a couple members from previous years. So right now we have 27 kids and we have 9 families and 11 children in the pipeline for 2021. There are, in the breakout of those 27 kids that we have at the center right now, the majority of them live in Breda. There's about 17 children that are from the Breda area. And then I think about 5 of them are from the Carroll area, and then 3 from Auburn, and a couple from Lakeview, and a couple from Wall Lake. And then 1 child actually travels from Denison to come to the Breda Daycare Center. There are a lot of young families at the daycare center. So the future for it looks very, very bright. Young families that will be having more children. Like I said, there's 11 children on the wait list to get into the center. And those are all current families. A lot of them, I think there's 2 outside families, but current families that already have children at the center. So we want to do our best to grow the center and make it a fun place. So kind of running down some of the things that they've done at the daycare center since like the last year. One big project that we got some grant money for last year, they put a deck in front of the center. That's where a lot of the babies will play. And it makes there's a ramp that you can actually enter in from the other side of the center. So that's been a big project. We also did a new flooring. We got LVT in the whole center. It really needed to be updated. It was old carpet. And so now it's a little bit cleaner. And then we also got some new furniture, a desk, some rocking chairs. We needed to update some of the cribs. This spring, we updated some of the cribs and filing cabinets. We got some new tables for the preschool center and some chairs. And then since we did the LVT, we also got mats for the children to sit on. So that way they're not just sitting on, a hard or a LVT flooring. So those are some of the major projects that we've done throughout the last, fiscal year. Obviously, like I said, I've been on the call since 9 o'clock this morning and I've listened to everybody. We all kind of have the same song and dance. COVID is not treating any of us very fairly. It's been a struggle. The daycare center, we obviously shut down when COVID hit, and then we've actually had to shut down 2 other times, once in August, once in October. And I think it's very important to add that we have not charged any of our families while the center is shut down, which I think is very important. We've been able to pay our employees full wages. We've been able to not charge our families because if they're not getting care at the center while we have to be shut down due to, public health and CDC guidelines, those families have to seek care elsewhere. And we financially can't be draining to our families. We got to be conservative on that standpoint. So I think it's very important. But along with COVID comes all the additional bleach and paper towels. All that stuff we're going through laundry detergent like crazy. One of the things we put in our application is an additional dryer because you're washing everything once, if not twice a day. It's just crazy. And my mom actually owns True Value in Carroll. And so I've been talking with her about, getting an additional dryer, and it's very, very tough to find appliances. Right now is when you don't want your freezer to break down because good luck finding one. So I've been talking with Mom a little bit about trying to find an additional dryer for the center. That along with, we're also trying to, so like I said, we put a deck on the front of the building, and what we're trying to do is create another drop-off location. So all of the babies will be dropped off at one door, and then all of the older preschool children will be dropped off at the other door. what we need is an iPad. We need to purchase, ideally it would be better if we had 2 of them, but what we need to do is we need to purchase the iPad. Then we need to get our daycare ProCare software put on them. I've already been in touch with a representative from Computer Concepts to kind of help me with, they're going to help me try to find a iPad, or 1 or 2 of them. They're going to put because we're obviously going to have to get antivirus, all that kind of stuff on that. So that's an additional cost as well. And then the ProCare licensing is also additional cost. But what we need that for is to be able to track, and if we're going to have children dropped off at another door, we have to be able to check them in and out. And the whole reason why we're doing this is so that way we don't have parents and children congregating around one door. We're trying to kind of separate, so like that way, like parents can drop off the kids at 2 different doors, and it just makes the whole process go faster. That way, because right now what we have is parents basically sit and wait. No, I mean, if there's a parent at the door dropping off their children, they're to be sitting in their car and wait for that parent to leave. So that way we're not all huddling around the same door. So that's kind of what we're asking the money for. I do know that I think that dollar amount has been the same for at least the last couple of years. I can't really tell you what's in the past. I know that was 19 and 20. So that might be something I don't know what it was in the past, but that's kind of where we're at today, and asking for the money. Do you guys have any questions for me or any particulars?
Any questions for Haley? Well, no, if you don't have anything else for us, no, I guess our questions, we don't have anything right at this time.
Okay. And the one thing I will add too is, we have gotten, we took advantage of some of the, like the PPP money, when that first came out. But one of the major things, as I'm starting to kind of get more comfortable with the finances of the daycare center, I will say that they do heavily rely on donations. One huge thing is fundraisers. In the past, from what I can tell of me analyzing the financials for the last couple of years, at least what I got my hands on, they were making, they had some really good donations and some really good like fundraisers. One big one is the Easter one. They normally had it like in the middle of April, and at least in 18 and 19, it was a big fundraiser for that center. And as with anything else in 2020, we couldn't have that. They didn't have the Easter raffle that they normally have in April. So that was kind of a bummer, because it's good income, I guess, to kind of, the biggest part for me that I worry about is we were able to do so much during this COVID, but I'm scared of what's going to happen if this continues. How long can we afford to shut the center down? If we have a COVID breakout or something like that, and continue to do what we've been doing for our families and our employees. So anything that you guys can give to kind of help us out, I, as long with the board and the other families, would really appreciate it. So thank you very, very much for your time.
Well, it's a tremendous asset to the community of Breda, and one of the biggest things that I see as far as daycares are concerned that we have funded in the past is that the Breda Daycare Center does not have any long-term debt.
Nope.
It's the daycare is supported strongly by the community of Breda. It's very important that we keep this going, and we have a well-managed care center in the community. So very good. Thank you.
Okay, well, this process works as we read over your request. We will factor it in when the budget negotiations, or not negotiations, but when the budget process starts. And shortly after the first of the year, probably in January, early February, we'll have made a decision and we'll notify you what funding there is for you, if there is any for you. So it'll take a little while for the process to work, but that's the way
All
we
right.
do it every year. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing up, let's see if we can knock off the payables.
So you guys got two different reports, and the reason that is, we had a packet that got updated. And we normally don't update them until we're ready to print the check. So once we update it, it doesn't show up on the normal report, so.
So these are in addition to what we
Correct.
have here. Does everybody have a chance to review these?
I did not see anything that looked out of the ordinary. I will make a motion that we approve the payables.
Question.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. I have one question before we move any further. I'm gonna ask you earlier, in the supervisor, the published the proceedings for the enterprise. Was that multiple publishings, or why are they so much higher than?
Well, Coon and Manning tend to be higher than the Carroll.
Okay, I didn't know if there was more than one, because it was over 1,000. The Herald was like 675. But
Well, and Rich, I don't know that those proceedings all coincide with each paper neither. It may include more, and it depends upon their billing cycle, I think.
okay, I thought about that too. It might not be
Because
just one particular, it could be multiple things, so.
I know for ads, Coon is a lot cheaper. So I think it's just I think it's a cycling situation, why you see the differences.
Okay. All right, very good. So any more discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of the expense report for the day. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. Plats, appears we have two.
Yeah, one is in Roselle and the other one is along Old Highway 30. It's an existing acreage for the baiting. I'll move to approve the plats.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second for approval of both plats for today. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries. Elder Bridge. Looks like you're up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for letting me join you in this manner this morning. I'm Shelley Sant. I'm the CEO of the Elder Bridge Agency on Aging. And we emailed you our annual report. Have you all received it and seen it?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So what I want to share with you today is what we've been doing despite COVID-19. You know, the pandemic changed the way everybody had to deliver service and do business. We were well prepared, and so in March, when the first declaration occurred, we quickly stopped our congregate meals because we did not want our seniors, of course, congregating and possibly spreading the virus when they're the most people. So to a different delivery system. Our meal sites continue to prepare meals. We're one of the only area agencies on aging who didn't go to all frozen meals because our meal sites were willing to continue to prepare the food for either takeout or delivery. And we continue to provide meals in that manner. As you can well imagine, the demand for meals because of food insecurity has risen significantly during the pandemic. And we did receive some federal stimulus dollars, thank goodness, in order to meet that increased demand. It will not sustain us to September 30th of 2021, which is the time frame we were given to expend. We're expending those funds much more rapidly because of the food insecurity issues. So if you all would look, this is, you should have received this with your annual report. That is a breakout of all of the services that Elderbridge provided to the senior population in Carroll County. And I just out of curiosity wanted to compare last year to this year. And we expended over $46,000 more in services in Carroll County this past year. And most of those have been related to the need for increased meals for individuals. So those folks that were going to the congregate meal sites, we were able to waive the homebound need so that they could continue to receive those meals. And so we're providing to home delivered recipients as well as congregate meal recipients for that food. So if you will notice, last year you supported us at $14,045, which was $2.95 per individual in your county who was 60 and older. This year we're asking for $3 per senior, so we're asking for $14,784. So the return on investment of county funds, which help us draw down our federal funds, is 2,698%. So for every dollar you support us, we expend $26.98 on services. So it's a good bang for the buck. And you will see that we actually provided $378,977 worth of service to Carroll County. And so I also want to let you know, we are constantly looking for other revenue sources. We know that our federal funding and our state funding is never going to cover the entire need of services. So I'm pretty innovative. And so we write for grants. We do fundraisers. We did a virtual fundraiser back in July. Did an online auction, live auction. We raised over $10,000, and all of that funding went to meals for seniors in our area. So, but with the COVID-19 situation we currently have, I don't see an end to the increased need for services anytime in the near future. So your county funding is going to be even more important moving forward as we continue to keep people home and safe, but also plan for reopening our services when it's safe to do so. Do you have any questions for me?
Shelley, I do not. You have a modest request for funding increase. I know you guys do this amount of work with that money. We do get a lot of bang for our buck on this one. And it's very trying times, and hopefully we'll get back to business as usual by July, hopefully. But we can't count on that just yet. So
No, we can't. Just so you know, we are advocating at the national level that if we can ever get Congress to agree on an additional stimulus package, that the Older Americans Act services are included in that package, because we need more funding so we can continue to meet those food insecurity issues and others. You know, we have people with getting their electricity shut off or getting evicted, and we're trying to help those folks avoid eviction or find alternate housing. So there's a lot of work to be done yet.
Just a general question. How is our elderly population holding up in your eyes?
You know, I think as far as their physical needs, I think we're meeting those. But the big issue we're facing now is social isolation. You know, we know that older persons tend to have problems with depression. And when they can't connect with their support system, that just contributes to that. So one of the other really cool things we've started is we're doing a lot of activity by Facebook. 3 days a week, we're inviting folks to join us, and we do different activities with them. But the other thing we became aware of is there's a company here in Iowa who makes a Grandpad. Ever heard of a Grandpad? Well, anyway, it's really a tablet device that is specific for seniors. It does not require internet. It does not require, it just works off of cell towers. So we have sought grant funding for that. And what we're doing is providing that tablet to those folks that are really isolated and caregivers who now are isolated, so that they can communicate with us. They can communicate with family. There's a video feature where they can do video conferencing with their family. We can also do telehealth. So if they need to see a doctor, but they can't, it isn't feasible for them to go into the doctor, we can set them up so they can talk to the doctor that way. The really neat thing is they can pull that out of the box and immediately use it. It's that simple to use. Their famous thing is 90-year-old can use it in 90 seconds, and they can. So we're constantly looking at ways that we can provide folks the availability to connect with folks when they need to be staying home where they're safe. So, but we are very, you know, I share in your concern. You know, that's a big part of this is we can send them meals, we can do this and that. The other thing we're doing is my staff is making weekly reassurance calls. So anybody who's already being served by us, we're calling them and checking on them every week too. All of my staff is working remotely. We started to transition people back to our office, and then the spike happened in November, so we shut that down again. I think we're being much more efficient actually working remotely than in the office. So, you know, that's the other really big need. And the Grandpad runs about $800. And it's a loan type device. And then the Grandpads folks actually provide all that technical assistance to the individual. There's no potential for scams or frauds because there's no internet activity involved. They'd make them with internet. We chose not to provide them with the internet because of that potential for frauds and scams.
Shelley, is there a charge for data on that tower system?
No, it's all included. All included. Yep. So we have purchased like 38 of them for our county wide so far. We budgeted for 50 of them. So we still have availability to provide those to folks who really need that connection. They can play games on it. They can share pictures with their family. It's really a neat device. If you want to see what it is, it's grandpads.net.
Yeah, I just brought it up here. It looks like quite a device.
It is, and you can get one like through Consumer Cellular, but you don't get any of the support. We're working directly with the company who provides them because we want their people available to support our seniors in their use, and that's part of the service. Actually, we're going to be presenting at a national conference in July about these grandpads and how Iowa has utilized them.
Good.
Any other questions?
All right, Shelley, thank you very much today for taking the time to come in and present. As you know, that shortly after the first year, we'll get through the budget process and we'll let you know at that time.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me join you today, and I wish you all happy and safe holidays.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Shelley.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next one up. Secondary roads. What is it at all?
Boy, you talk about timing.
What's that?
You talk about timing.
No kidding. I wasn't gonna let him in at all. If he didn't get here in time, I was gonna just shut him out. Tough crowd today.
A couple drains to talk about. Nothing really to approve, but one was one that we got done, drain 49, which was a larger drain. This is the one where we replaced about 330 foot of 24-inch tile. Just wanted to follow up with that. I turned that bill up into the office here this morning when I stopped in. So it came in just over 11,000 with materials and labor. That's including hauling all the area. And then so overall, I think we fared pretty well. Over half of that was or about half of that was just the pipe itself, the material. So, but worked out pretty well. The waterway installed, and hopefully it would be good for a long time. So, the other one is drain 45. This is in Lanesboro. We talked about this one back, I think it was like March or April. They were having issues with some drainage issues at a couple different places in Lanesboro. And we got up there here this fall, spent quite a bit of time up there trying to find multiple places where there was plugged tile. I do think we got it opened up and flowing now. I don't have the details put together on the total cost yet, but well, a lot of it was labor of just trying to find where these areas were where it was plugged. So we did replace multiple sections, short pieces here and there, but I do think we got everything draining now, at least on that leg. This is kind of going down Main Street there. So
we don't own the post office.
We ended up finding a different route to dump that water into the main tile. We kept running into more and more issues, and we were about within, I'd say, about 40 feet from the main where we could connect and drop in above I guess it'd be on the north side of Main Street. Didn't have to tear out any pavement or anything like that. Good. And it's going the same place that it was. So, okay. But got that flowing and got a couple other areas that were plugged, opened back up. We did have to take a little bit of sidewalk we'll have to replace yet next spring, but otherwise I think we got everything going there. But like I said, wasn't a lot of material, it was a lot of time. So I haven't had it all up yet. We're probably talking about maybe just over 6,000 somewhere in there for that. But, we spent quite a few days up there. So. Any questions on those? I guess nothing really to approve. Just wanted to kind of follow back up with them and let you know where we're at.
Good enough.
Second thing, one of the things we had budgeted for, well, the two main things we had budgeted for fiscal year 20 was our pickups and then replacing our track skid loader. The pickups, as you remember, we did back this summer. We are 2 3/4 tons are in. We'll be hopefully getting those here this week and getting them radios put in and lights put on and all that kind of stuff. Still waiting on a half ton, but we're getting closer on those. The other equipment item is a track skid loader. The current one we got is 2012 model year. And it's been good to us, but we're starting to nickel and dime us a little bit. Something that we'd like to get replaced. We demoed about 4 different models this summer. We were doing the demo shouldering project. The exact size we were looking at, so we had an idea of what we liked and didn't like about different ones. But I'm working on finalizing the specifications on that and getting kind of a bid package put together this week. Hopefully we just have get quotes back before the end of the year to try to hopefully save a little bit on 2021 pricing. I know there's generally increases, whether it's 1% or more come first of the year. So we can save a little bit by getting them on the tail end of 2020 pricing. I think that would help. Something we plan on doing this winter anyway. So I guess I just wanted to see if anyone had any questions on that and make sure everyone's good going forward. I know that's something that, I don't know if Dave had that in his plan, but I know we talked about it back in spring or maybe early summer, whatever it was, about that was kind of the intentions on using our equipment on board for this year. So those 2 things.
Then these tracks, they have the height, enough height to load into our trucks.
Yep.
Okay.
They do.
And you'll trade the
We'll trade the
2012.
Trade the 2012 in. Yep.
And that's not track.
It is track.
It is track.
We have a rubber tire old skid loader. It's about 23 or 24 years old.
Pretty good.
That we keep around the shop for moving stuff around. And then the track one is the one that goes out building driveways and things, removing snow and everything else. So.
These track loaders, are they capable of doing a lot of the skid loader work that we do, the bigger loaders that we do with it?
Some, I mean, it depends on what it is. I mean, when it comes to loaded gravel or stuff like that, you don't have the bucket capacity to be able to do what those do. But from a standpoint of maneuverability and grading and leveling things out, all that kind of stuff, they're very, very handy.
I know we scatter out sites in the winter also.
Yep.
Vehicles out, so we load multiple places. This is something that would.
It could if it had to, but
Just takes longer.
The bucket size is so small that it would be very inefficient. I guess the reason why we have multiple loaders and one track skid loader is for that reason.
There's a huge price difference too.
There is.
It comes down to how much time you want to put into it.
Right.
Okay. Very good.
How many different brands did you try out or this summer?
We tried out 4 different ones, Dean, this summer.
Okay. And I'm sure those specifications are quite different for each one, right?
Well, they are. That's what I'm trying to kind of filter through and trying to do my best job of comparing apples to apples so that when I'm speccing this out, that we can they all can meet what we're trying to get. This is what options we want to have. A lot of it's how they're packaged together too. So that's the tough part. But I'm gonna do my best to try to get that to fit.
My next question, we do not have a dozer loader anymore because we replaced it with one of these, right?
Do not have a what?
Like a Caterpillar loader?
Like a payloader, we do have
A payloader, but I'm talking about like a dozer with a loader, but because that's what we use these to replace them because they're more better mobility, right?
Correct.
I can add a little bit to that because the conservation board is considering the same thing as well. And there were two dozer loaders that you were talking about, Gene, were bought in 1985. And the conservation group has one of them right now, and it needs a lot of work. I think you probably know a little bit about that too, Zach, because I believe they brought it in to have the mechanics look at it and see what it would cost to make that investment in repairing it. So I think they're changing their mind on a dozer loader and going the same thing that you're talking about.
Well, the big problem you have with those other ones is the undercarriage gets so dang expensive.
Yeah, I think there's the conservation board has one, but I think the other one is scrapped out someplace.
I'm sure you're right.
It's sitting somewhere.
We're looking to increase the size ever so slightly. Right now we have Bobcat T770. It's like about 90 horse roughly. We're looking to go a little bit higher in that like 95 to 100 horse range. It's kind of the base of the top end for these track skid loaders. Because we do maneuver pipe around with them and everything else as well. That way we can lift a little bit more along with what we were doing from a grading perspective.
Well, I think one of the reasons why also that we went this way was because of the height of them, so we can get under some of these structures like under the bridges and stuff like that. So I think we don't want to make sure we don't get too big neither.
Yep, the height really doesn't change much. I can't tell you exactly what it would be, but it's not a whole lot bigger frame than it's very similar frame to what the current one we have.
Oh, okay. So it's just more horsepower and more
horsepower. Little. It might be. I can't even say that it's lighter. I think it's more horsepower and more hydraulic capacity a little bit as well.
So maybe I missed this, Zach. Are you thinking about replacing the one you have or getting an additional one?
Replacing the one that we have. I'd like to trade it for 2012 one that we have. We'll keep our old rubber tire one, but trade it in for 2012.
How many hours is on the old one?
The 2012, I think, has about 3,500 hours roughly. We've had some electronic things, and I mean there's been multiple things that have been replaced on it, and it's just I know even like I believe when they were pushing the snow on Saturday, the relay for the lights went out. He was in the dark for a little bit until he got it fixed. So there's still things that are happening, I guess.
Okay.
So are you looking for directions, Zach, or what?
I guess I'm not sure what you've done in the past. My plan is, I guess, as long as everyone's okay with it, I wanted to basically go out for bid on this and get quotes back. Then I'll bring them back to you for consideration at that point in time. I plan on having them do back the last week of December and kind of go from there.
Okay.
Sounds great. I know it's expensive of the lanes go, but you can how many that day, I was concerned is a lot more expensive.
Well, and the biggest thing about that on Lanesboro is the amount of time trying to find stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's the utilities up there and a lot of other sidebar things that you're trying to work around out of the park. So
Okay, that drainage district. It's been a phone for quite a while.
it has in this area that we was plugged. It's not something that was plugged recently. I mean, it's been that way for a number of years, 4 or 5 years, I think. So,
Okay. All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zach.
thank you.
And that item we discussed last week, they've gone to transition to how they're doing it now. I'm sure you're aware.
Yep, they have.
I never did receive it.
Good.
Okay, the next thing up is Gtmt discussion. Carroll, you want to slide up here and this has gobbled up a lot of time this last week. A lot of time. A lot of time. In a nutshell, we were strapped with a December 16th deadline, which we would have had to make a decision today. But through various conversations and paths that have led differently, our county attorney was involved with this and he got us an extension until January. I don't remember what day it is right off the top of my head. I'd have to look through here, but we have a little time to talk about this more. But with that,
why was we under a deadline? I would like to know that first.
Why were we?
Yes.
What was his question?
Why were we underneath the deadline?
We started on this about 3 months ago with PCG, and I never realized it would take this long to get all the information. And so that's on me. We should have started sooner.
And the DHS has a time frame, and if you're in at this date, you're in. If you're not in, you're out until the next filing year. If that's how I understand it. So we would be out for another year, which isn't the end of the world because we weren't in anyway, but it could translate into $100,000 possibly. So, but I think it's something that I'm glad we got the extension, but like I said, that came with another caveat. Now we have another player involved. So that's good and it's bad. It's good that we got comparables. We'll have 2 different companies to compare against, but it's going to take some more time, and I'm hoping we can make that January deadline without trying to slam something in right at the end and hopefully make a good decision.
So with the new deadline, we will be able to be able to get the current dollars then? The current year?
We'll get for this current year, and it'll always, this is all, they need us to get it in by the end of January, but it won't start until July 1st.
Correct. It doesn't.
I couldn't hear that.
We have to be filed for by January. The dollars don't start collecting until July. And then you're always in the rears with this.
So whether we made the decision today or January doesn't make a difference.
If we would have stayed with the original, we couldn't have got in after Wednesday. We'd have had to wait an entire year for that opening deadline again. So anyway, we have another company, and I believe it's called Cost Advisory Services. Yeah, John uses that company for filing for Medicaid. What part of it is he using? I have no idea. He uses it to file for some type of funding back. And I can't tell you why he's involved with it, but.
Okay, Cost Advisory, that's the firm we use for our cost report, right, Courtney?
Yes.
That's the same company, right? Okay,
So, and we already do business with them.
right.
So the bad part is Darrell has spent a lot of time, about 3 months or better with this other company. We're this close and now we're back to here trying to sort this one out. This one will get sorted out and they'll give us a price. I can't even tell you whether they're gonna be competitive or not. I don't even know that right now.
One thing right now is, cost of virus services will give us a Gtmt report for $3,000, where PCG is going to do nothing.
Yeah, slide that mic over there towards him.
I did. I turned it.
Cost advisory services will charge $3,000 for this Gtmt report, where PCG is going to do nothing, just trying to pick up the business. And I sent an email off and I haven't got a answer back from cost advisory services. PCG, whatever we get back in federal payment on this program, like if we get $100,000 from the feds that we weren't going to get, PCG takes 9%. And they take like 9,000. And I have not got an answer what cost advisory services would take out for 100,000. So right now I'm just kind of waiting.
A little unfair for them to know during a public meeting the percentage that the other company would take out, because that gives them a competitive advantage. I would like to thank you for taking the time and bringing forth the company that sought us out.
Never thought of that. I don't do politics, so.
We already said it in the last. We did. It's already out there, but it gives them an advantage, just like when we were doing the vehicle quote for the sheriff.
Exactly.
It is what it is. There's some things that they don't see, but obviously we cannot move forward until that other company provides a bid. I think we set a date for that. If they don't provide it by that date, they're out.
I think that's probably the correct way to do it, is give them an opportunity. They have a window to hit. We'll answer as many questions as we can. I did call. They are currently under employment through Iowa County. I did call their director, and they have an ambulance service that is similarly structured to what we have. They're very close, so it'd be a fairly good comparable. But the guy that's running it was gone on family leave, so I talked to the next guy down, and all I got out of him, they're very happy with the company. So everything they said they would do, and it seemed to be working out for him. And he couldn't tell me the exact numbers, how they were doing financially, but he says, I know that from the conversation that they recoup all that they can. So
Rich, this was the PCG group?
No, this was the cost advisory service.
Okay.
I just tried to do some quick scramble on him, and Iowa County does use him. The recommendations we had from this PCG was Calhoun County, and I haven't talked to them yet. And
I'll tell you the truth, I did talk to two of them on that reference. Calhoun County, and both these have only used these a year, but for some reason they were able to reach back and get more years service, is the way it sounds like. And I did talk to Calhoun and Hiawatha. I didn't get to talk to the individual on the Hiawatha, but I got to talk to assistants. And both the ones up at Calhoun were very happy with it. And the ones at Hiawatha, he said that, he knows the fire chief said there's no way he would go through this gym program without them. So.
yeah, I tried to call the other community, was it
Farmington?
Farmington, I tried to call them and I got a recorder and I haven't heard back. So I'm assuming that person's a part-time, because Farmington, I can tell you where the town is, and it's pretty big.
I called all the references too, and I did get a call back from William Klein at Farmington this morning. And he does the books both for the volunteer service and the hospital. And the hospital, I think, I know he said, gets a lot bigger payback than the volunteer service because their cost is higher. They're in the second year, Farmington is, and they were okay with the payments. And actually, they were very happy with PCG. They also talked to Carrie Hall with the Calhoun County and got the same answer you did, Gene. I called the Hiawatha and I didn't get a hold of Mike, but I got a hold of an assistant. They were with PCG for a year, and he didn't know a lot about it, but he knew that they were doing a very good job for them. So, and he said that someone else had just called also. That was probably Eugene.
Probably was.
And I talked to Scott Jacobs. The first call I had with Scott was that he didn't know anything about this. He didn't know that they had any affiliation with PCG. And so, and the part that kind of concerns me, I guess, is are they still going to require an advance from the county?
Probably.
Well, through their presentation sure sounded that way.
And Scott said they never were approached for an advance in Calhoun County. So they never approved any kind of advance going to PCG. So I guess that was my contact that I had.
The reason we started looking at PCG too is the Iowa EMS Association is the one that is highly recommending. That's why I started looking at PCG way back when. So.
Okay, so we're kind of in a circle here. I guess my recommendation is going to be that Darrell needs to continue to talk to this cost advisory service. I know we're coming up on the holidays, I get that, but if he could have something back to us by the first of the year about them, about how much they charge, how it works, then I'm okay with making a decision in the first week of the year. And so getting that timeline okay. I'm okay with the PCG. But I think we should do our due diligence and look at this other one a little bit too. And get the actual numbers we can compare to.
Rich, I agree with you. I guess being we have not seen any other comparisons before, I was kind of, this thing looked like a lot of smoke and mirrors, but more I dig into it, it's not. But I will tell you from my experience or our past experience with cost advisory, and Neil probably remembers this, we used to have another firm that did our cost reporting for mental health, and they got so expensive, then we switched over to cost advisory, and I think the cost basically was anywhere from a third to half of the cost, and they had done us an excellent job, and they are they're one of the vendors at ISAC and they're got a good reputation.
One of the references I called did say that with PCG, there is a discount if you're a member of the Iowa EMS Association. But overall, I agree with Rich, I think, and Eugene, that we should do comparison, ask cost advisory services the same questions we ask PCG, and make the decision that's best for Carroll County.
So it says right here, our fee for the completion of the Gtmt report is $3,000. So to do that, I'm going to have to pay them from what I got in this email, $3,000. Just sort of aware of that.
So do we have to pay that? Let me ask this question. Does that have to be paid up front for this cost analysis?
It says our fee for the completion of the report. They've got to do a report before they can
Okay,
tell us what's going on. Or what we get back.
okay, did you understand that? That we may have to pay $3,000 up front just to get a quote?
I will ask the guys. Right,
We'll double check about that. One other piece I want to put in here. As in my conversation with John last week, we were talking about other things and this was brought into the conversation. This company already does business with Carroll County. And it is the state of, and is in the state of Iowa. And I think by code, we should look at them. And we should do business with them if we can. So I'm not aware of that code. I don't have a law degree, so I'm not gonna make any more comment. I assume John's right. I have no reason to believe he's not. So that is also part of the piece too. So I guess
let's go look at them.
I think we should take a look. If it costs us a few bucks, it costs us, but I would, if it's only gonna wind up $3,000 a year, then we're gonna save $6,000 right out of the get-go. So we know that because the first year is gonna cost us, according to their numbers, it's gonna be about $9,100 for the first year. But we're gonna take in about 91,000. So it's well worth the program. So we'll kind of leave that. Darryl, you got any more questions for us? Need any more guidance? Okay. Is that okay with you guys? We just dig into it some more and see if we can get the numbers by New Year's.
Definitely.
And New Year's someplace in there.
Go for it.
I guess it's disappointing that, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but that a certain entity knew of a program that existed, but didn't bring it to the board earlier than Darryl doing his work. So I mean, shame on a little bit on John for not mentioning this earlier, that he could be saving or getting all this money refunded back to the county. I don't know, and I guess maybe shame on the board too for not paying attention, but I do want to appreciate Darryl for bringing that to the board.
Okay, any more discussion on that?
Well, one thing on PCG is they do require a 3-year contract. And I think we should ask that same question to cost advisory services. How long are we locked in if we're going to go with them?
Okay. Darryl will do his best to get enough information so we can kind of at least try to compare an apple to an apple. All right, the next thing up is the COVID discussion. I had that placed on the agenda for today. I've had questions. I by no means have a law degree. So I want to throw that out to the board. And the questions have been on the vaccine. Will they be required to take it or not? We have in the past required vaccines for hepatitis be taken to some departments. I don't believe all departments are required.
Nobody's required anymore. For TB test.
No, hepatitis.
Okay, it's not.
For hepatitis shot. So there is some standing there. Also, there's some things that the family leave for COVID-19 will run out December 31st, if I'm correct? I haven't seen any extension even talked about on that. So knowing that going into next year, if you contract COVID-19, that's your personal sick time or vacation time or however you wish that you can use it, because that will disappear. Which, I understand that this is the flu, like a flu. But I also understand that it's got extenuating circumstances. So after the first year and someone contracts COVID-19, they're not bound to tell us. They are not bound to stay home. So if they come to work and infect our workforce, we could be put in an awkward position there. And that goes true with a lot of flus that infect your workforce and fairly quickly. So I am not real comfortable going down the requirement path, but I'm also not real comfortable with having a heart attack and having the ambulance personnel showing up with COVID-19 to take care of it. I'm not saying they would do it. I'm just saying that's the position we're putting our employees in. So we can rectify it. We can just go on and hope for the best. I don't know what the right path is. I don't like mandatory anything.
So Richard, are we
the side of this coin? Very good.
So do we have employees not wanting to take it? Is that?
We have employees that do not wish to take it.
1 out of the 26 have opted to. The 20 other 6 have said no. That's 1.
1 out of 26.
Said they would take the vaccine.
My department's split about half.
I think we are completely overstepping our bounds if we even say the word mandatory. I would like to talk to John if this is even something legally we can do. I mean, just an example, Care Initiatives, which is a ginormous healthcare industry, they tried to do a mandatory flu vaccine, and then they had a huge lawsuit and the constituent won, and then they tried to make it a requirement for employment, and then they had another lawsuit and the constituent won. I just want to make sure we're ducks in a row before we even start saying the word mandatory.
And it is not mandated. We're only getting our first 800 doses, and it is, you have to sign the consent form and you have to agree to the 2 doses. And it has been stated time and time again, it is not mandated. So they're actually encouraging facilities to only have maybe up to 30% of their workforce get it, because they're also going to be watching the side effects and if anything happens. And so you don't, like St. Anthony was only allocated 400 doses. So they don't want to give it to all 700 to 800 employees at the same time if something were to happen. So let's say all of Daryl's people would get it at the same time and something happens, his entire EMS crew is out.
When I emailed John about it, he brought up the deputies. He says the word required, so I'm.
Yeah.
Would Daryl?
Yeah.
Aren't you required to have a hepatitis shot?
Yeah, we just discussed that. I believe the sheriff's office and himself, and I'm not sure about the home health care aid. Well, I would assume that they are probably required, but I don't know that. Being as they have contact with the general public in a situation. I'm just bringing it up because I see both sides. I had the question asked to me. I get it. I understand it. I hate mandates. But so is that a path you choose to pursue, or are you just gonna, wherever it goes, it goes?
I don't think we can or should require that people be vaccinated. Although I question whether we should give extra leave to people who decide not to get it. I think that's a big decision we need to make.
Yeah, I agree with you, Neil. If they don't want to take the vaccine, I don't think we should be giving them leave because they could have prevented it. I mean, maybe I'm looking at something wrong here, but
No, I think that's a bigger question we need to answer is, are we going to give extra leave to people that catch COVID and have refused to be vaccinated or decide not to be vaccinated?
Well, Neil, let me jump in here. Let's say we don't. As an employee, I'm gonna tell you, I feel just fine. I'm coming to work.
We do contact tracing, so we're gonna know we should.
Will contact tracing continue after the first year? Sarah?
What's that?
Will contact tracing continue?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
For how long?
they haven't told us that yet. And same with the guidance on the COVID pay. We are assuming something's gonna be out regarding an extension because the first round of vaccines is only this phase 1A, and that's December 21st. So they're saying even if they get the multiple millions of doses of vaccines, it might be through March, through April by the time the allocation continues. So
Even if I'm contact traced, am I bound by law to tell my employer?
Well, probably not
No.
any more than you are today.
yeah, no.
What I meant was we have people that work here that would know if we have an employee that was working.
well, anybody that doesn't want to tell anybody their employer and stuff, I think has got very little consideration for their fellow mankind.
Yeah, we see that
That
time
might
and
be
time
strong
again.
language, but
Yeah, doing the contact tracing, we see that time and time again because the people are going back to work and then we get the complaints at the manufacturing or at the work level. But it's a fine line that we have to walk with the HIPAA.
Well, and that's, are people staying home because they know they get that extra 10 days or they don't have it? And they're out.
Rich, is this something that we need to decide today?
No, it's just a discussion that I think we're gonna have to, you're gonna have to live with one way or the other.
Well, let's put it this way. I guess my initial thoughts, these are initial thoughts because this was just dropped on us. But my initial thoughts are that I don't know that we can mandate anybody to take that vaccine. They may have religious beliefs or whatever. But if they don't, that's preference. But I think we need to strongly encourage them to take the vaccine, particularly some of our departments that are involved with the public a lot and are dealing with sick people. And I think if we do extend relief for employment for COVID, that if they refuse to take the vaccine, I do not believe they should enjoy that relief.
Well, I think there's.
I'm not
ahead,
going to
Neil.
repeat what Gene said. I'm just going to agree with everything that he just said.
And I think there's going to be some guidance coming out from IDPH, don't you think so, Sarah, on this?
I'm surprised they haven't come out already.
Yeah.
I'm shocked because we're still right at the thick of this. So, And with them not having, but is that a Congress thing? You know, like she stated with schools. The governor said that the legislator would have to come back in session and decide about schools returning more than the 50% in person. So I feel like the CARES Act, COVID 10 days paid is a Congress thing. And are they recessed right now, you know, and come back like third week of January?
I wonder if ISAC is looking in on this and would have an opinion.
But the COVID Leave Act right now is federal.
Daryl, are you hearing anything from your regulatory people?
My people are split down in the middle. Part of them would take the vaccine, part of them wouldn't, but I'm seeing ones wouldn't do the COVID, won't also do flu shots. And my people realize that this extra 10 days may be gone at any time, and they're willing to take a chance, and if they get sick, they'll use their own sick time and just stay home. But my people are really good on reporting if they've got it, because they, you know, it'll travel through an ambulance like a fire, just from person to person. So if somebody's sick in my world, they stay home.
Could you repeat that, Rich? I didn't quite hear that.
Yeah, they're about 50-50 split. He feels that his personnel are upfront very much so. If they have it, they do report because they know that it'll go through their office like wildfire. So he feels pretty comfortable about that. That's his department. I think I've talked to another department. They basically don't want it at all. And I get all this. Everybody has their own doctor's opinion, their own legal opinion. I get that. But I'm just worried about the county's perspective, the liability that we have, not only to our employees, but to the general public. I have some concerns about that. I don't know whether we can go a waiver route. We can go, if you don't want to take it, that's fine. But every time you step on the premise, you got to have a mask on. We can go lots of different directions. I don't want our workforce sick, and I don't want it to, I don't want them to put us in an awkward position.
I was told by Wellmark that these vaccines are going to be no cost. They're considered preventative, kind of like your flu shot is, you know, you don't take the shots.
And that's a good plus.
So it is covered by our insurance, right?
That's what Courtney's been hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not advocating for either side here. Don't get me wrong. I'm seeing all the problems that we are going to be faced with.
Well, my suggestion is that we think about this for over the week.
That's fine. That's fine. We can sure invite John in the next meeting too, if he don't have something going on. I don't really think he's for a mandate either, but I also know that he pointed out to me that hepatitis was required.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you got certain people that work in different fields, and you have to protect yourself and the public.
Yeah.
You know, I know when I was a first responder, because we had to take a hepatitis shot. People that work in public utilities, like in the sewer systems, they have to do it. So, I mean, it's not like this. I mean, yeah, nobody likes a shot, but you know what? I think the consequences of not getting one is probably worse. And I agree with you, Rich. There's a liability there. Whether they can come after us, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure that there would be a lot of standing there, but We
But
all,
I-
we
but
all,
I do,
we all see what we're involved with now.
but I do believe that if we do extend our leave position and someone has refused to take the shot, they should not be afforded that leave. Because part of that leave position was to protect the public and the rest of our employees.
That's correct. There are exceptions to these, all these, and Carroll's one of them. If you do go the requirement method in the ambulance department, the circumstances he's in, I would not recommend he get that until his oncologist clears it.
Oh, that, yeah.
Well,
I understand
Yeah,
that.
that,
So there's gonna be exceptions to these rules. If you goes down those.
but there might be some directives from his oncologist too that he should probably be at home, you know?
Yeah, maybe he'll say, sure, take it.
I'll tell you what, Rich, I'm an example of it. When I had my first heart attack, I never had any flu shots. But I tell you, after I had a heart attack, I thought that heart doctor's nurse was going to be standing right next to me, making sure I got it. Because boy, she was very vocal about it.
Okay, so give it some thought. I'm not sure there's a correct answer. So.
Well, not today. I guess I would think we should wait until, you know, there's gonna have, like Sarah says, there's gonna have to be something coming down, you know, from the IDPH and probably from the federal, probably from Congress on the next step. So.
Okay, so we're gonna hold this over and Courtney and I'll decide whether we're gonna throw it on next week, depending on some information we get.
Yeah, we don't even get the first 800 doses until the 21st, and those have been allocated out. Public health is gonna make sure that, you know, between the healthcare workers and the EMS law enforcement, that whole first tier, the 800, and then 20, we have the Moderna. So 28 days after that, if they get their next 800 doses, will go to those exact same people. So we do have some time on this, and they are working on just finding the first 800 people who want to take it, to take the first 800 doses. So it's not like we're sitting on a whole bunch that have to be distributed, so.
Okay. Thanks, Daryl, for staying.
Thanks, Daryl.
The next thing up is we have one manure management for Don and Doug Gherkin, section 21 of Wheatland Township. That is an original filing. Committee reports. Who would like to go first?
I can go first. I did not have any official meetings last week. This week I do have today, I have the daycare meeting at 4:30, and then I have Wesco at 6. And then on Wednesday, I have Hungry Canyon starting at 9. And then Thursday, I have the compensation board at 5 p.m. And then I think Friday, we have the emergency coalition meeting.
Okay. Anybody else?
I can go. On Tuesday, I had, last week, I had a policy council meeting. Went through the financials and stuff, and things seem to be going very well there. That actually they had done a loan on part of the Perry building down there, and that things have gone so well that they've actually prepaid down off $178,000 on that early Head Start loan. Well, I went through the health and safety program. We did have one at Waukee, some playground equipment that's got some rough edges on it that we're looking into. We getting something done and replaced in it. They reported 2 IM and PI alerts from the federal government. We did looked at some virtual learning discussions with Waukee and looking at that. We did approve the Head Start and Early Head Start selection criteria. And then we had updates on our Early Head Start Center base, updates, the Perry building, the construction is going. We're looking at probably maybe being able to occupy that building in February. And then Carroll, we're looking at the process of getting occupancy permit. And then hopefully that we will be in that building in early January. We did do some budget revisions and move some monies around within the budget to cover things. Let's see. We were awarded our continuation for Head Start and Early Head Start. And we have started Early Head Start center-based training and technical assistance for new employees and stuff that we're hiring for these positions. That was on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I did the review for the CEO. And on Thursday, I sat in on a Highway 30 coalition. They talked about the bypass around Missouri Valley. And they're looking at 2025 and grading for 4 lanes, but paving for 2, and some other things that they talked about. Then on Thursday night, we had the New Opportunities Board meeting. We did Marie Sharon, the clinical director, is retiring after 19 plus years. We did recognize her. We did accept the financials for the month. And we did a CSBG amendment for $87,000. And we're looking at using some of that for a different phone system that our phone system has gotten obsolete and we're not able to even get parts for it. And between the CSBG and also through some CARES monies that we will probably be able to cover that whole total cost of that. We had an agency-wide COVID-19 update. We've had some people that have been out because of family members having COVID, and a few that have within COVID. Most of our staff are working remotely. Let's see, and then we went through all the Head Start stuff like I reported earlier. Again, so there's news going through that the second time. And then we had some letters of review from different programs where we had audits and stuff and self-assessments, that those turned out very well. And then also last week I did the radio and newspaper. This week I have a CADC has a board meeting at noon tomorrow, and then I've got the comp board on Thursday night. That's my report.
I can go next. I had the conservation board meeting on Monday night, and since we had no meeting in October and November, the November agenda was just held over to December. So it's basically the same agenda as November, and I reported on some of that, but the fall items update were the barn siding project, the Riverside Trail stump removal, and the CRP, of which I reported on last month. The gun range discussion was, the situation there is that individuals are coming to the gun range and using the gun range, and they're getting a family package and they have adult family members. So, I mean, it's basically bringing out my adult kids and their kids. So they put an age limit on the gun range at 17. So if you are 17 or if you are 18, you're going to have to get your own permit. So that was that situation. The east shelter update was they were going to do spray foam last week and get some heat in the building last week. The funding's going along very well. It looks like they're going to be about 30 to 40,000 yet that they might be short at this time, but I don't think there's any real concerns about not being able to raise those dollars. They already have 25 reservations for next year that they just briefly jotted down, and if they can honor those, they will. Reported on the trail bridge repairs. This is in section 30 of Neast Township, which would be the the Hazelbrush area. And Murphy's is going to come and take a look at it and give an estimate of the cost for that repair. So that's coming. Hopefully the weather will hold. And if Gene, you're looking it up there, there's about, I think there's 3 bridges in that section. So, and I'm not really sure which one it is. He wasn't that, didn't give that much detail. The next discussion was on the track loader. And so it was basically almost the same thing that you heard from Zach this morning, that they're looking to replace their track loader, their Caterpillar loader, with a tracked skid loader, basically, the biggest one they can get, I guess. So Jason has been directed to get some estimates on what that would be, get some bids. That was the conservation board meeting. I did listen in on the Highway 30 Coalition meeting on Thursday as well. They're going to press to contact the legislators. It appears that there's going to be an infrastructure bill with the new administration, so I think they want to get ahead of that. I don't know if Gene, I don't know if we've ever brought up the Rule 4, that design that they're proposing. The Rule 4 is you basically go 4-lane and then go like in Carroll, you would come through Carroll and then go 4-lane again. Be the same way in Glidden, the same way down the road. And there was some real pushback from individuals between the city of DeWitt and Mount Vernon, and little towns like Clarence and Stanwood and Mechanicsville. And they did not want, they're anticipating a higher traffic count once they go to a 4-lane. And these small communities did not want all that traffic going through their towns. So there's going to be some pushback there. If they don't bypass their community, they don't want Highway 30 coming, they don't want to go 4-lane. So and yet
you see communities that want them to go through. I mean, it's one way or the other,
Yeah, I can see their point a little bit. If there's increased traffic, I guess, and if you're in a residential area, like it appears to be in those smaller communities, that could be an issue. So, and that was, I don't know if I have any more on that. I guess that was my week. This week I've got an East-West Nishnabotna Zoom meeting on Wednesday, the compensation board meeting on Thursday, and the emergency coalition meeting on Friday.
Dean, I just thinking here now that you say they want to replace theirs. I wonder if you shouldn't get together with the conservation and the secondary roads. I wonder if they bought 2 of them, they get a better deal.
That's a good point.
Maybe they need to work together.
Yep. No, that's a good point. And I don't know. It sounds like, I guess Jason didn't comment on the fact that secondary roads was looking for a new unit, but it sounds like their unit that they're trading in has probably seen better days and would probably not be a good investment to hand down to the conservation. I think they use theirs quite a bit. I know I was going to make the comment with Zach that they really use that track skid loader. And I know our roads foreman, Chris, was the head operator on that. Boy, he could really handle that thing. He really was very good at maneuvering that thing around. So I don't know. It's a good idea.
Why don't you visit with Jason and I'll give Zach a call.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. That's all.
I'll go next. Friday at the second judicial meeting, regular board meeting, there's a lot going on. Apparently they have no current COVID at each facility. They hope this does not change. They know that they will have early access to the vaccine. I didn't ask if it was being required or anything, but I think they're going to take it. They had a racial report that we're trying to do, or that they've done, and that 4% of the population in the second judicial area is African American, and 17% of the people in there, and they thought this was racial. So I just asked a question. I go, are they arresting people, picking on people because of their racial background, or are they causing more of the problems? And I immediately got called racist, but it was just a question. And I said, our jail is mostly males. Are we picking on people because of their gender, or should we arrest more females or less males? But anyway, I didn't appreciate being called a racist just for asking a question. Anyway, we did get at the second judicial district $743,000 plus due to COVID CARES Act. It's supplemental money, and we needed it. I asked how it was going to be spent. They said it's probably mostly already spent, and until we got this, which we got it on the 9th, we had quite a financial problem looking at us. The budget took quite a while to go over because of the difference in things caused by a smaller population in our prison system due to COVID-19, which results in less income, and how this $743,000 was going to help us out. So the budget was approved, but there was a lot of revisions in that. Shortly after that meeting, we had another meeting of the executive committee, which I am a member of. And the primary thing we did there was we had a director's performance evaluation for Amanda Milligan, who is a director. And it basically went very well, which we're very happy about. This week, apparently I have the radio and newspapers that Gene did last week. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Hi, Neil.
And on Wednesday, I have the Coalition for Human Services. On Thursday, I have the CPPC meeting and the comp board that evening. Any questions? Okay, that concludes my report then.
On Thursday, and then on 29. Don't ask me because I said 29.
1:30.
Well, congratulations, Neil. It's your last time reporting to the newspaper and email. Make it
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I better do it good this time. It's my last chance, right?
Yeah, you should probably sing.
We're looking for an employee that'll do it every week next year.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right, I'll go next. Last week, Thursday, I had the executive board and our RDC meeting. Well, we made one sizable loan. That's all we had in front of us last week. We have many more coming up. We're about half loaned up. We should have in the neighborhood of about $5 million left to loan out. Some of the highlights of that meeting was pretty straightforward. The RPA applications, the TAP fund is about $300,000 is available yet. And the block grant money also is in the $4 million range. So you can see that the region has lots of money to loan, and we have a lot of applications that'll be hitting our table in the next 2 months. Summit Ridge and Wall Lake is down to the last unit to be rented. That has been a good project with the city of Wall Lake that provides some low-income housing for the elderly. Perry has, the city of Perry has joined the region, and they also are administrating a block grant that will be awarded to them for housing. Vehicles have all came in that we've ordered. We all have had them all on the road. Almost all the drivers are back. We're not back up to full ridership yet, but we're getting close. So things are starting to maneuver around, and doctor's appointments are being made and kept. That's about all for the Region 12. This week coming up, tomorrow morning, I have the waste agency tomorrow morning. On the 17th, I have Iowa Workforce. The comp board also on Thursday. I had a couple-hour phone call with Carroll and John last week. Not all at one time, but it took us all afternoon to accomplish it. There's a lot of good information there. A lot of concerns. Courtney, do you have anything for us for next? Oh, one other thing, don't forget the 28th meeting. The 28th meeting will open up with a closed session. And we'll be in closed session for that. I don't know how long. Courtney.
Next week, right now, I have new opportunities at 9 o'clock. I'm assuming they're gonna do their funding request, but the main reason is to talk about the general assistance program and make sure that what we agreed to pay them is covering their costs, et cetera.
We all agreed to revisit.
Yep, we did. And I know Joanne has been getting in touch with other nonprofits to get them scheduled, and I'm pretty sure she has some of the schedule, but I don't have it.
Okay.
All those done before that.
I see there are no questions online. Anybody from the meeting here have anything they'd like to input? Okay, and if not, I'll call for, ask for adjournment.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.